So good afternoon, and God bless all those that will tune into this live. We are in a different scenery today because my daughter is doing a video. So we are going to just work over and work through what we have here. So we are in 1 Samuel chapter 27, I believe. We left off in chapter 26 last night. And so we are going to go ahead and start with chapter 27. You see my kitchen, please excuse it if you see anything out of order. But let's go ahead and start this here. And David said in his heart, I shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines, and Saul shall despair of me to seek me any more in any coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hands. So it kind of seems as though there's a little bit of discouragement, yet he does still feel hopeful that, okay, if I stay here, then the running back and forth is eventually he's going to get me. Eventually he's going to catch me, and he is going to kill me. That's what he says. He says this in his heart. He doesn't say this out loud. He says this in his heart, that he's going to perish one day if he stay in this area. If he stay in the Jews' land, then he's going to perish by Saul's hand. But then he says that there's nothing better for me to do, meaning, so he doesn't want to be in the land of the Philistines. Those are the enemies of God. He doesn't want to be there. He does want to be where the inheritance of the Lord is. That's what he wants. But he cannot, he can't keep running from Saul. He can't keep running from him. And so he is making a decision to go into the enemy's territory. And that's what he says. He says that there is nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines. And then that's going to make Saul despair to seek for me, because that's the enemy's territory. That means he's got to fight to get there, because in the Philistines are not going to let him just come into their land. At least Saul. It's not going to let Saul just come into their land without a fight seeking for David. No, they're going to try to fight Saul. So he's saying that Saul's he's gonna despair that. He's not really, he's gonna make it hard for him. So he makes the decision to do that. He's saying, if I do this, if I go to the land of the Philistines, then I'm going to escape out of Saul's hand. You know, oftentimes we can be discouraged about a thing. We can be sad about a thing. We could be not feeling like we should, because we want God to do certain things. You know, we feel like life is consuming us as believers. At times we feel like I'm going to, any minute now, this is going to suck me in. It's going to suck me in. But one of the things that we did learn in our church service, it was such an encouragement. Yesterday, our pastor was talking about how, you know, encouraging ourselves in the Lord, encouraging ourselves, and how there are doors all over. We are surrounded by doors. There's a door of freedom. There's a door of escape. There's the door of the joy of the Lord. There's a door of peace and tranquility. Like we can operate. We can go through these doors, the door of standing still and seeing God's salvation, the door of God's mercy and grace. Like we can go through these doors. We are not left without peace. We're not left without instruction. That's why, and this is actually for part of this is for my lesson that I'm going to teach with my young adult ladies tonight. But one of the things we need to understand is that even the fact that man is going to stand before God without an excuse. You're going to stand before God, and there is nothing that you can say to God that's going to get you off the hook if you are standing before him charged as a guilty criminal. There's nothing you can say. And the reason why there's nothing for us to be able to give to God, for God to say, okay, I understand why you made that decision, because he has provided us all things that we need for life and for godliness, everything that you need. And I could not have my microphone on. So you may have not heard me. So I don't know. I'm going to start over. So God bless all of you. I don't know if you heard me, but we are reading chapter 27 of 1 Samuel. And I read the first 3 verses. And I'm going to reread it. And David said in his heart, I shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines, and Saul shall despair of me to seek me. Let me make sure this is on. Yes. He shall despair of me to seek me any more in any coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hand. So we talked about David feeling some form of discouragement that if I stay here, I am going to die at this man's hand. And if I keep running, he's going to despair. He's going to weary himself looking for me. So if I go to the land of the Philistines, the enemy, if I go and live in their land, I'm going to be able to safely escape out of Saul's hands. The discouragement, but yet the encouragement of encouraging himself in the Lord. And so, as I was stating, our pastor was talking about yesterday about us encouraging ourselves to do what we're supposed to be doing, and not walking in despair, because you've got people, and I stated this last night, you've got the ungodly who are encouraging themselves every day to do what they're doing, not to serve God, not to change their ways and come out of darkness and into God's marvelous light. No, they're encouraging themselves as actors. They're encouraging themselves at the gym. They're encouraging themselves as singers. They're encouraging themselves, and they are posting that on social media to encourage you too. Like, hey, go and get this money. Hey, it's this. Hey, it's that. What about the sons of God encouraging themselves to obey, to keep going? Listen, I get it. I understand the challenge, but most of the times the challenge is because we don't want to let things go. I had somebody tell me, we could be crying over things that should have never been. We want things we should have never wanted. We desire things we should have never desired. And then when it's time to let that go out of your hands, it's time to take that out of your heart, you can't. It's hard for you to release it because you've gotten so attached to that thing, that person, that way, and you want to hold on to it. So the challenge with most of us is, I don't want to let it go. It's not because I don't have the necessities to let it go. It's not because God has not given me all things for life and godliness so that I can live healthily in his presence. No. It's, I don't want to let it go. I've attached myself to it. And so the person was telling me, that's the deception of man's heart. That's the deception of the heart. We lie to ourselves. We connect ourselves to things and people and places and social status. And then we're comfortable with it for a while. We hold on to it for a while. And then next thing you know, it's time to let that thing go because, hey, this is sucking you dry. This is pulling away from you. This is taking life from you. And you just can't let it go. You can't let it go because I've made it a part of me. I've fit that somewhere apart in my life, in my heart. And now it's like, now I have to let it go because it was never mine, because I never should have had it, because I never should have desired it. Oh man, it makes it hard. It makes it difficult for the person to let it go. But we're making it hard for ourselves when we should have just not, when we should have sought the Lord, when we should have not gone in that direction. We should not turn down that road. How do you know that the things that you want is God's will? How do you know that? And then there are certain things that are clearly not God's will. And yet we still get it. We still grab it. We still desire it. We still attach ourselves to it. And so David is wanting to escape. And he says, if I don't, then Saul's going to eventually kill me. He's going to eventually kill me. Verse 2, and David arose and he passed over with the 600 men that were with him unto Achish, the son of Maoch, king of Gath. And David dwelt with Achish at Gath and his men, every man with his 2 wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess and Abigail the Carmelitess, Nabal's wife. And it was told Saul that David was fled to Gath. So Saul's getting wind of it. He's getting the 411. He knows. But Saul's not going to, because he's not going to go to the Philistines' land. He has to go. He has to be ready to fight if he's going to go there to seek him. So he's not going to do that. But he does hear about it. And he sought David no more. He didn't seek for him again. And it could be because I don't have time to fight the Philistines. I just don't have time to fight them. That could have been the reason why. Because Saul is already in a bad, he's walking on eggshells with God. Like, hey, you are on your last straw. Fine. So Saul probably feels like it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let him go. says he doesn't seek for him anymore. And David said unto Achish, if I have now found grace in thine eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country, that I may dwell there. For why should thy servant dwell in the royal city with thee? Then Achish gave him Ziklag that day. Wherefore Ziklag pertains unto the kings of Judah until this day. So David has found some favor with the king of Gath. He has made himself as if he's on their side. He's made himself favorable to the king. The king lets him live there, and then the king gives him the land of Ziklag, and that's where David dwells. Verse 7, in that time, and the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was a full year and 4 months. And he behaved himself wisely, I want to say, because that's the reputation that he has. Behaving himself wisely. He knows how to behave himself. He knows wherever he goes, David knows how to respond and adapt to his world if necessary, to his circumstances if necessary. And he's not doing it in ungodliness. He's not doing it in unrighteousness. He knows how to conform and it not be sin. He knows how to do that. We see that in 1 Samuel chapter 24. You know, he goes to, was it Achish at that time, the king of Gath, where the Philistines are like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Isn't this David? The one whom they saying David is slain his 10,000s and Saul his thousands? Like, that's that David. Like, no. We know about him. He's over here in our territory. The word of God says that David made himself to seem as a madman. Like the fear of like, I got to do something. I got to do something right now. So he starts foaming out of the mouth. He starts spittle and scrapping on the wall and things like that. And Achish, it changes his perspective. Like, you're gonna bring this fellow in front of me to play the madman in front of me. Get him out of my face. And David was able to escape from that circumstance, because if he would have stood there like, yeah, it's me, it's David. Yeah, no, you got it right. They did sing about me. Yeah, no, it's me. They would have killed the man. So David knows how to use wisdom. He knows how to use wisdom. And that's why he's able to have what he has. That's why he has a reputation that he has, because he knows how to go in and come out. A lot of the times as believers, we are trying to figure out, we're trying to go out, but we're trying to use, we don't know how to use. So the word of God says that the children of this world is wiser than the children of the light, of the kingdom. Why is that? Sorry, somebody's calling me. Give me a second. Let me turn my brightness back up. So why is that? Why is he able to do that? Why is he able? He knows how to make decisions, and he doesn't have to be unrighteous to do it. He doesn't have to be a bad person to do it, but he knows how to go out. The Lord says that the children of this world, they're wiser. So as the example I gave that my pastor brought up as it relates to encouraging ourselves, the wicked know how to not be in despair. If they were in our place, thinking about the fact that this life is hard, and what they're doing is hard, and the fact they have to please people is hard, and the fact that they have to do a lot to get this money is hard, then they'd be depressed and they would not be as successful as they are. What makes the wicked successful? In their way, they know how to, like, let's get up, let's do it, boy, let's do it. Today is our day. Yeah. And they know how to say that to others. Like, listen, today is your day. If you want it, rise and grind, rise and shine, whatever that is. They know how to encourage themselves. So that's how David knows how to. David knows how to go in and come out. He knows how to do that. And he does. So he gains favor with the king of Gath to the point where he gets a place. Where am I? So he dwelt in that land for a year and 4 months, a full year and 4 months. And David and his men went up and invaded the Gershites and the Gezrites and the Amalekites. And those nations were of old, the inhabitants of the land, as thou goest to Shur, even unto the land of Egypt. And David smote the land and left neither man nor woman alive, and took away the sheep and the oxen, and the asses and the camels and the apparel and returned and came to Achish. So even while he's in the enemy's territory, because David knows that those are also the enemies of the Lord. Now he's not going to mess with the Philistines, at least not right now, because he's in these people's turf. So he's not going to mess with them. But he does go and invade the other enemies of the Lord. And he kills everybody so that nobody comes back and tell him anything. This is what he says. Verse 10. And Achish said, whither have ye made a road today? And David said, against the south of Judah and against the south of the Jerahmeelites and against the south of the Kenites. And David saved neither man nor woman alive to bring tidings to Gath, saying, lest they should tell on us, saying, so did David, and so will be his manner all the while he dwells in the country of the Philistines. So what is it saying? His manner is that if he goes against other enemies of the Lord, he's going to kill everybody. He's not going to save anybody alive. He's not going to have any animals alive. He's going to get rid of all of them so that they don't tell the king of Gath, so that he feels like, man, like, are you for me for real? Like, why are you really here? Are you here to spy us out? Are you here to do something? No, knowing how to use wisdom. That's what we probably need to conclude in this chapter. Knowing how, so churches, people of God, I'll say, like to say, oh, you got to use wisdom. And listen, I want to say that in this season of my faith, in this year of my faith, they're not lying. They're not lying. No, you definitely have to use wisdom, but within context. Within context. I used to be one to despise hearing church people say that. Like, yes, we do have to use wisdom, but there's a way. There's a way in context. And even in that way, even if it seems like it's illegal, you have to, as I stated in videos before, you have to have enough in your bank account, spiritually speaking, to be able to know how to. David is eating the showbread. It might be old showbread, but it was not for him to eat. It was not for him to eat at all. But he did. And Jesus referenced that in his day. Did you not hear what David did? Yeah, when the Pharisees want to accuse, hey, why are your disciples plucking off the ears of corn on the Sabbath day? Did you not hear what David did? Did you say anything about what David did? Was there any judgment passed on what David did? How he ate the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, but for the priests only? So God allowed that moment for that moment, yes. But David is faithful. He said yesterday, he's a worshiper, he's a warrior, he's a worker. And he's worshiped God. He's worshiped God. He's served God. He's given God his heart to the degree where that man has spiritual money in his accounts. So anything that David does that in your mind is like, ooh, what David did was bad. Ooh, he just lied. Ooh, he told his wife Michal to lie to her dad. Like, ooh, you would think that is wrong. But is it? Is it though? Is it wrong? Do we see God punishing him for what he did? So yeah, I do agree. Use wisdom. I agree. Use it. But it better be God supporting the wisdom that you use. So David making himself a madman in the presence of the king of Gath, that was the wisdom that that was what he thought to do. And God supported him. The fact that he tells Ahimelech, the high priest, that the king has sent me on an important errand and it wasn't enough time for us to get food for the journey. I need something to eat and I need a weapon. I couldn't grab my stuff. We see God supported him. God supported what David did. Yes, blood had to be shed. And it wasn't right for Saul to have the priests of the Lord killed. But hey, somebody did die on behalf of that. But still, God didn't punish David. God didn't punish David for that. He did it. He gave the man grace. He let him where you would have been like, the Bible is contradicting. There's no way. So that means we can lie. So that means we can. No. God better support what you do. The wisdom that you use to try to maneuver through this life. Listen, the world is broken. We all agree. We agree. No, the world is broken. It's messed up. It's jacked up. So then what do we do to get through it? How are we going to get through this life? Because you got to get through this life, right? If Rebecca did not do what she did by telling Jacob to dress like his brother, he would have not gotten the birthright. And it was his to have, because that's what God told the woman. You may say, yeah, but she should not have interfered. God would have made a way. But we see that that was God's way. That was God's way. Yeah, the world is broken. And so because it's supposed to be straight, we're supposed to be going straight. God planted good seed, but there's wild grapes. Now the earth is broken. Now it's messed up. And so now there's shards of glass over here and there's metal over there. Oh, there's mines over there. But we're supposed to go this way. I have to cut through. I have to get through a different avenue to get to Jesus. That's life. I got to get through it. I got to get through it. So I'm supposed to be this way. But man's sins messed it up. The fall messed it up. Messed it all up. So now wherein you were supposed to go this way, you got to kind of cut through, around, go over. Not in sin. Not talking about sinful. Not talking about making sinful decisions. I'm saying you can't go that way anymore. You have to cut around, go through, go over, go this way to get from around the mess. Because it's broken. It's checked up. That's how God allows for it to be for us. But he's got to support it. He's got to support your decisions. He's got to support what you're doing. So if you're trying to make decisions outside of the will of God, outside of the purposes of God for your life, and there's a consequence, but Lord, yeah, God has to support what you do. So when you say you've got to use wisdom, God better be backing up what you're saying. Because listen, I'm telling you, 17 years in faith, if you'd have caught me a year ago, 2 years ago, I'd have been like, see, that's the problem with church folk. I'd have been like, no, they're trying to use that as an excuse to do bad things. And guess what? Most of them are trying to use that excuse. You got to use wisdom to do bad things. They want to do bad things. It's not that this is, well, they might think it's bad, but God is saying, but God is supporting this. No. People want to do bad things. So people will say you got to use wisdom to do bad things or to avoid things, to avoid consequences, or to avoid responsibility. People will do that. But the purposes of God, the will of God, is what we've got to consider, is what we've got to be in agreement with. We've got to be in agreement with that, right? So David decides, listen, it will be wise for us that if we do go and invade these areas, we got to kill everybody so that they don't say anything to anybody, so that nobody from over there comes over here and say, word on the street, O king. David came to the Amalekite area. He killed all of these people. But I somehow escaped to come and tell thee. Word on the street, David invaded the Gershites. And I'm alone. I'm able to come and tell you what happened. I can come and tell you what happened. Because word on the street. Yeah, David said, no, we're going to kill everybody. We're going to kill everybody. We're going to get rid of everybody so nobody says anything. And he does. And God supports him. God doesn't punish him. God doesn't punish him. Verse 12. And Achish believed David. So David, in his wisdom, he can change minds. He can change minds. That's amazing. Because Achish could not believe him. God could set it up where Achish doesn't believe him. Right? When he made himself to be a madman, when he told Ahimelech that the king sent him on an important errand. Why did Ahimelech believe David? Because like he tells Saul, let me go to verse 24. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. It was probably not 24. It's 23. And it might not be. Okay, no, it's 22. Sorry. And I ran right into it. Praise God. 1Samuel 22, verse 14. This is what Ahimelech the high priest says. Then Ahimelech answered the king and said, and who is so faithful among all thy servants as David, which is the king's son-in-law, and goes at thy bidding and is honorable in thine house? So why does Ahimelech believe David? Because he behaves himself wisely, because he's obedient, because he does what he's told. He fights the king's battles, whatever the king sends him out to do. Even when Saul was doing that to see if David's going to fall at the hand of the Philistines. Even when he was doing that, he obeyed the king. He went out, he came in. Sorry, my daughter is standing there. He went out, he came in. He went out, he came in every battle, and he won. He was prosperous. That's why Ahimelech believes him. Why would he think anything different? And and even though it's like, ooh, that's not true, but the king isn't sending you. You're running from the king. Yeah, you got to use wisdom. You got to use wisdom. And that is exactly what David is doing. And God supports him. God supports him to the degree that he gives him the showbread to eat. Because this is what he thinks about him. Nobody in your kingdom, no servant that you have is more faithful than David. None. Absolutely no one. No one else in your kingdom is more faithful than him. And he's your son-in-law. Why would I think that he's against you? Why would I think that? I don't think that about him, because this is how he shows himself. He shows himself a worthy man. He shows himself worthy to be praised in that sense. Like, no, this man deserves honor because he's this way. Whatever the king does, whatever the king sends him to do, he does it. He always comes back. Yeah. And so then when he does that, as it relates to the king of Gath, when they say, hey, this is David, you guys don't know who this is. Like, isn't this David? And David's like, man, I got to think quick. What's the quickest thing I can think about at the moment? Well, let me act like I am retarded. Let me act like I'm a madman. Let me seizure up. God supports that. It changes minds. It changes minds. He changed Ahimelech's mind. Like, yeah, of course, I wouldn't think anything less than greatness from David. Yeah, I'll give you showbread. If you guys have been kept away from women for a while, then you can have this. If you're holy, okay, that's for another topic. I'm hopefully my sister who I do my collaborative lives with, she catch this. So I'm about to bring that up to her after this. Yeah, if they've kept themselves from women for these many days, right? Those who are not defiled with women. Oh yeah, no, we've been clean. We've been clean. Gives him the showbread. Yeah, because why would I think anything else? Why would I think that the king is chasing you? Why would I think that he's against the king? No, David is faithful. And who is so faithful in all your house? Who among all your servants? Tell me, O king. That's what he says. Tell me, who is so faithful among all your servants as David? Who? I can't find anybody else that's as faithful as this man is. Of course, I wouldn't think anything less. The man wanted something to eat. Yeah. So Achish believed David. David has a way of making himself believable. Does that make him a bad person? No. He knows how to use wisdom. David knows how to apply the wisdom God gave him. Yeah, he behaves himself in a wise way. That's not wise to behave like a madman. It obviously is. It obviously was a wise move for him to make. He escaped death. It was wise. It was wise for him to make that move. Yeah, it was. Oh, it's not wise for him to go and kill all these people in these different areas. And kill all of them? He killed men, women, and children? Man, in our day, we call that genocide. It was obviously wise because it changed the king's mind. He believed David because he used wisdom. He believed David. And this is what the king says. And Achish believed David, saying, he has made his people Israel utterly to abhor him. Man, I know the Israelites don't like you now. Like, that's what you've been doing? You've been fighting against your own people? David is not telling the truth. But what's truth? What's truth? The man is leaving. He's trying to run from his untoward generation. The man is trying to escape death. If they persecute you in one city, Jesus says to flee to the next. The man is trying to escape death. So I got to do something. Yeah, I'm not going to kill my people. I don't care what the king of Israel is doing. I'm not going to kill him. He's the Lord's anointed. They know God. The children of Israel know their God in that sense. They are the servants of the Lord. The king of Gath, the Philistines aren't the servants of the Lord. The Amalekites, they're not the servants of the Lord. No, these people are not the servants of the Lord. I'm a servant of the Lord. I know that Israel are God's chosen people. Of course, he's not going to go after them. He's not going to. But he's not going to tell the king that. You know, most of you be like, Of course I wouldn't do that. Those are God's people, O king. Are you crazy? Yeah, no. David used wisdom. Oh yeah, I went and did this. I went and fought against the south of Judah and against the south of the Jeremites and against the south of the Kenites. And David killed everybody where he actually went. So nobody comes and say nothing. Keep them lips closed. They're going to be closed because they're dead cold lips now. And Achish believes him like, man, they don't like you. Man, your people don't like you. You are fighting against them. Your people don't like you. That's what Achish says. Says he has made Israel, his people, utterly to abhor him. And then he says, therefore he shall be my servant forever. Achish has like, I like this guy. I like this guy. You betray your own people? Yes, you will be on my side. That's his mind. The Philistines, although they all right with him living, as long as he's over there, man, we don't want to see you. Like, go to Ziklag, wherever, go. As long as he's over there, I don't care. But when we get into this later chapter, maybe 28 or something, the Philistines are like, absolutely not. He can't go with us to war. Absolutely not. No, he can't go with us. This is like, King, do you understand who this David is? What if he sees his master and want to go back on that side? Because Israelites have done that. They were on our side, and then when the king comes and they're whooping our tail, then they sell out and go back to their master. No. We know how this works. He may do that. Send that man home. That's what the Philistines are going to say about David when it's time to go to war, at that day when it's time for Saul to die. But Achish believes, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I believe this dude. This dude is, no, he's found favor in my sight. He's found favor in my sight. We need to find favor in the king's sight. We need to find favor. You've got the parable that Jesus gives of the unjust stewards. The unjust steward is unjust. He's not doing his job. He's not doing his job. And his Lord finds out, hey man, you've been unjust. You've been unjust. So I'm going to take your stewardship from you. Yeah, he's threatening him. You're not going to be able to stay here. You will no longer be a son that serves because you're taking my kindness for weakness. You are being unjust in your way. I'm thinking that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. My accounts are supposed to be right, like Joseph. Yeah, no. Potiphar didn't know anything but what was set at the table for eating. He didn't know anything. And like Joseph said, he's kept nothing back from me but his wife, because that's that man's wife. Other than that, he don't know anything else. He trusts that I get everything intact. So the unjust steward, his Lord is telling him, listen, I hear that you're not handling my business. You're not building my reputation in the right way. You're being unjust in the way. And that's off-putting. That's a representation of me. You're making people think that I'm this way. I'm about to cut you off. And the unjust steward says, man, I am in a strait. Like, what am I going to do? I can't beg. I can't be poor. I can't beg. It'll be shameful for me to have to beg. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it right with his people. So if he still decides at the end of me doing this to take the stewardship from me, I've built these relationships with his people and I can just go and live with them. Yeah, because if you work for a wealthy person, even if you're a servant, you're going to live wealthy. You're going to live in a wealthy way. Yeah, because he's going to make sure his servants, wealthy people, they don't just have servants that look any kind of way. They don't know. The servants are dressed. No, you got to look like me. You may serve me, but you've got to look like me while you're serving me. So yeah, we got to get you some new clothes and we got to groom you and we got to make sure, where you live is nice. If you live on the property, we still got to make sure where you stay is nice, man. Come on. You're not a slave to where we just put you in a barn. No, you got to look good because you being my servant represents me if you go where I go. So you got to look like me. Yeah. So servants who serve wealthy people look wealthy. They look wealthy. So he knows that, man, if he takes my stewardship from me, I'm going to be poor. going to be poor. I'm not going to have the nice suits. I'm not going to be able to pop my collar. I'm not going to have. No, I can't. And it'll be shameful for me to have to beg. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make friends. I'm going to make friends with his people. So if he does still decide to get rid of me, they may let me come into their habitations. They will let me live with them if I know how to work this thing right. And he does. He says, how much you owe my master? Take your bill, sit down and write this. How much you owe my master? Take your bill, sit down and write this. And the word of God says, Jesus says, and the Lord of that servant commended the steward. Commended him like, man, look at him. This is not righteous people. Obviously, Jesus is giving a scenario of unrighteous people. A wealthy man and his servant who does bad things, apparently. And he's like, look at him. Like, he knew that I was going to come against him, and he made this decision. No, I commend you. You can stay. We don't know because it doesn't say, but I'm sure he's like, yeah, no. He's wise. He knows how to get back in line. He knows how to get back in line. And Jesus says, therefore, the children of this world is wiser than the children of the kingdom. Why? Because the children of the kingdom are like, God, my car. Well, if you're not going to do it, then I'm not. Well, if you're not going to, then I'm not. God's not going to do it, then it's not going to be done. Yeah, get your behind up and make some decisions. Just make sure that what you're doing, God supports. Use wisdom. You got to use wisdom, right? That's what they're telling you. They're telling you that. They're telling you you got to use wisdom. So use it in context. Use it in context. Make sure God is supporting what you're doing. Right? That's what David did. That's what the sons of God need to do. Yeah, no. We can't let the ungodly outdo us in wisdom. No, and they're prospering at what they're doing. The ungodly are prospering at what they're doing. And they're using worldly wisdom. And they're doing worldly things to keep their worldly stuff. They're actors, so they're gonna use the wisdom to stay an actor. Yeah, you got some of these artists, singing artists, and these actors that are getting old. You know, if they're getting old, then in the world they're played out. They're getting old, they're played out. So what are they doing? I know, let me do a commercial. I know, let me put my name on some pies. I know, let me put my signature on some clothes. I know, let me do a underwear commercial. Yeah, probably I'm too old to sing, I'm too old to rap. Let me make a cookbook. Snoop Dogg got a cookbook. He ain't rapping anymore. I don't know what he's doing. He might not be rapping anymore because he's old. He's old. We celebrate these worldly artists. They get old just like people get old. They're people. And their time runs out for the things that they're doing. So, they're stewards in that sense. They're like, man, I can't go all the way down at the bottom because I'm getting old. So they're trying to do things to stay looking young, and they're trying to do things to stay up. So that's what they do. So that's what we got to do. We got to use wisdom. We got to use wisdom so that our God can commend us for the wisdom that we use to make the decisions God would want us to make. May the Spirit of God give you eyes to see and ears to hear. May He give you understanding, a heart to perceive. In Jesus' name, God bless you.